Good morning. 2 weeks ago, we did a report on DeepSeek and how the Chinese AI model performs at a level that was surprising to industry experts. What we've seen since then is a convulsion in global equities markets, and especially in anything related to the artificial intelligence industries. The investment thesis prior to DeepSeek was that in order to stay ahead of China in the AI race, trillions of dollars need to be invested on the fastest and most advanced semiconductor chips, and trillions more for the AI server farms and the energy required for all those. Now, DeepSeek has completely upended all of this thinking from the software and applications development side. DeepSeek works as well as our top AI models, and it's free. And so this has scrambled the investment theme about the hundreds of billions of dollars that have already been poured into artificial intelligence, and many have concluded that we won't be doing it anymore, that the AI theme is dead, it's over. But that conclusion is off, because that is not our system, and that's not how our policymakers and our business class respond. DeepSeek surprised everyone who does not understand the Chinese system and how Chinese companies and engineers innovate around problems. But those who say that the AI investment theme is dead doesn't understand the American system. In the United States and Europe, we cannot build new cars for under $50,000. China can build them for $15,000. So we ban the Chinese cars. Our companies cannot build low-cost, high-quality telecom equipment that competes with Huawei, so we ban Huawei. Drug makers in China and India make cancer drugs for $20, so we say that those cannot be sold in our markets unless they go through American or European companies that sell them for $2,000. That's our system. So DeepSeek will go the same way everything else goes. The rest of the world can buy affordable cars, and our young families cannot. The rest of the world can buy affordable medicine, and our patients cannot. The rest of the world will be able to use the best AI models for free, and our users and developers will be paying $20 a month or $200 a month if you need it for business. That is our system. And it's run and managed by people referenced here in this Bloomberg article. This is a meeting of people with private jets in Davos, the World Economic Forum, eating fancy food and listening to the most important tech executives who said that the United States and our allies need to build more data centers and write tighter laws to stay ahead of China. This was just 2 weeks ago. The chief investment officer at Google told the rich and beautiful people that we are a year plus, that's more than a year, ahead in AI models, but the advantage will only hold if we put in more hundreds of billions of dollars, is the plan. By the time the meeting broke up and everyone flew home, that entire worldview had come crashing down. Because if it's true that an unknown Chinese startup company with just a few dozen people and $6 million could create an AI program at least as good as the best ones we've got, then it's hard to justify a lot of the spending, and therefore the high valuations of stocks like Nvidia and ASML and TSMC and the other big tech names that promise their investors that these giant investments are going to result in big payoffs later. All these stocks are way too high. So Silicon Valley raced to figure out how it happened with anyone at their own companies noticing what was going on. Some don't believe it was done as cheaply as DeepSeek says. Others believe that DeepSeek avoided the huge costs that Western firms need to deploy just by mimicking them. And none of that matters very much. DeepSeek does work, and it doesn't matter how much it costs them to build it, because now it's free to use. And it also doesn't matter how it works. But just like we send investigators in after a plane crash or shipwreck, they're trying to see what they missed. Meta is Facebook, and they've got 4 teams trying to work out how DeepSeek developed an open source model that's better than theirs. Here is what is at risk for these companies. This is capital already committed. just from 5 of the biggest names: Microsoft, Amazon, Oracle, Google, and Facebook, Meta. Just these 5 companies will spend over $250 billion on developing faster chips and the facilities necessary to run their models. Now, in a truly capitalist system where new information is digested quickly and markets react, all of these projects should stop right now. And CFOs would be writing down these investments to zero, and certainly they'd be putting a stop to investing anymore. But nobody can afford to do that, especially given that the solution is right in front of them. They can just call up their friends at Davos and Washington and ban DeepSeek in the US and Europe, and this party can keep going. The truth is, if we had efficient capital markets, Nvidia would have lost their stock premium months ago when we learned how fast Huawei and SMIC were closing the gap with Nvidia, and that Huawei chips were actually in higher demand than Nvidia's here. It should have lost its premium when we learned that users across the world are able to access Nvidia chips in data centers outside the United States for far lower prices than US buyers could, and that it wouldn't be long before chief technology officers in the US and Europe do the same thing that engineers in China and India do, just by accessing AI farms in Singapore or Dubai, and save millions of dollars for their companies. But that did not happen, because that would really be the end of all this money, much of it coming from governments. They cannot allow it to happen. And this is how crazy things are at Nvidia. LTM is last 12 months or 1 year of trailing earnings. 2 years ago, Nvidia's trailing 12 months was $4 billion. Now it's $63 billion. Nvidia makes more money than half the companies in the UK, or in Germany, or in France. The earnings forecast for Nvidia from tech analysts just assume that nobody could possibly come along and build fast chips or develop software that can use older chips. The median analyst forecast for Nvidia earnings for 2030 is over $150 billion. $150 billion in profits. And nobody questioned it. Nobody questioned that thesis. Everyone was a buyer, and Nvidia is in everyone's investment portfolio or retirement account or ETF. Then comes DeepSeek, and this was one of the best takes so far. Zero Hedge is saying that if DeepSeek is real, the biggest tech stocks in the world are going to revert to the mean, as we say, and would need to drop 80% just to get back to fair value. And Zero Hedge is right. That's what should happen, because DeepSeek is real. The panic is real. We'll link to these articles in the video description so you can read for yourself that top teams are wrestling with how DeepSeek scored, as well as OpenAI for $6 million compared to billions of dollars. So the fact that DeepSeek is a Chinese company will make it easy for policymakers and these tech giants to just make it go away. They have too much invested. Too many careers are at stake to change course now. The US tech industry and their representatives in Washington will revert to form and double down on new restrictions on DeepSeek and on other Chinese companies. Here is news that came out after DeepSeek. A company is filing to build a natural gas plant to power a new AI data center in Texas. It will cost up to $500 million to build, and the data center will be part of the Stargate project. Stargate will run $500 billion, and $100 billion will be spent immediately. Does anyone actually think that this will not happen now because of DeepSeek? Or do you think that the people who want to borrow and spend $500 billion are going to find a way to make DeepSeek go away in the United States, to make it illegal to use? Isn't that the most likely outcome, given how our political and economic class do everything else? So artificial intelligence in the United States will be expensive, and for access to the newest and best artificial intelligence, users and developers will need to pay OpenAI or the other cloud companies $200 a month, while for everyone else in the world it's going to be free. It should be free, because we see that that is the real cost. But they will take this money and they will need to monetize it. And everyone who uses a cell phone or the internet in North America and Western Europe will just pay higher surcharges every time they turn it on. Everywhere else in the world, AI will be free for everyone who wants to use it. But in our system, everyone will pay for AI whether we use it or not. That is our system. This is Foshan in Guangdong province. Be good.
That your children, that your church are empowered to go and make disciples of this nation and all nations. Thank you for sending your Son, Jesus, to die for us and to live for us. We bind up the evil spirits of Islam, of Hinduism, of atheism. We call your spirit to come down in a place